Welcome to my house.
Hello and welcome to the House Review, where the reviews are always on the house of BTS. I am your host, Steve Dawes, and in this video I'll be going over the new Psychic Healing Ability, Psychic Tether or Lifeline, which is found on page 117 of the Coalition Manhunters sourcebook. So, just what exactly is the Psychic Tether or Lifeline? Well, it is said to be a cord of dim white light that only the tethered individual, the psychic to whom it is linked, and those able to see aura or see the invisible can detect. This psychic manifestation cannot be broken via physical attacks, energy blasts, or most psychic attacks directed at it, except for the new Psychic Break ability, which I will review in a future video, and Psychic Surgery. The only other way to sever the lifeline is to knock out or kill the psychic to whom the other end of the tether is connected. If the psychic to which the tether is connected is rendered unconscious or killed, the person attached knows they need to backtrack immediately, as the tether begins to fade and vanishes completely within 1d4 melee rounds, or 15 to 60 seconds. If the lifeline vanishes before they reach the doorway, the person on the other end is trapped in the other world. So, this unique psychic ability has 3 applications to it. One is to keep another person tethered to this physical reality. This can be applied to astral projection in order to provide a second cord connecting the astral traveler to the physical world where their physical body is located via being tethered to the psychic. Being as my game, I'm getting more and more into the astral traveling aspect, especially as I've kind of been experimenting and practicing and planning for sourcebook applications of it. I can see a lot of use alone just for this first ability. So I look forward to seeing what the players in the future do with that first application. The second application to this won't be as useful in Beyond the Supernatural yet, but in future sourcebooks I think this will kind of become a big deal. But the Psychic Tether can be used on anyone entering into a Fade Town, a ley line triangle, where space and time often become distorted and the individual may lose their way, in darkness, because you can see and follow the tether, or an open rift or a linked dimension where the dimensional fabric is so thin that people can enter and exit from one dimension to the other without a rift or magic, provided they can find the exact location of the invisible breach or ultra-thin area of dimensional wall that serves as the entrance and exit, as well as when entering the astral planes by some means other than astral projection. The tethered person is able to find their way back to the world from whence they came at the exact location they left by following their lifeline, even if the doorway cannot be seen but remains open as an invisible portal or weak membrane between dimensions. It's worth noting there is a warning to this in that if the rift or invisible doorway closes, the tether is severed and the dimensional traveler is trapped in an alternate dimension. And this is a good time to bring up that the traveling is limited. The lifeline is only so long, which has a limited distance of about 500 feet per level of the psychic. However, in the astral plane, it's unlimited. And once the tethered person, the tethered person is able to continue to observe from a distance. It's also worth noting that when the duration of a psychic tether is coming to an end, it begins to irresistibly pull the individual back to the way out, whether they want to come back or not. And the fact that that's irresistible is really kind of it's a pretty powerful toy when you think about it like that whether they want to or not, they are being retracted back to the psychic healer who has casted the lifeline on them, and for good reason. It's especially if you're going into a dangerous situation, the last thing you want to do is be stranded suddenly because your lifeline was cut. The third application that I think this one is really where the healer aspect of it stands out more than others is that it can be used for tethering emotions and madness. Basically, this third use is to tether another person to reality to prevent them from succumbing to fear, anger, hate, sorrow, depression, phobia, obsession, and other insanities. It gives a +6 to save against even powerful psychosis, neurosis, affective disorders, horror factor, which is a huge deal in BTS. That in of itself is worth having the ability. And that also includes horror factors induced by psionic attacks and magic. Though scared and wanting to give in to obsession or some other debilitating emotional or mental condition, the tethered individual can maintain composure and not flee in terror or more momentarily freeze up, nor give in to obsession or insanity due to the calming and controlling influence of the psychic to whom they are tethered. The psychic needs to constantly talk to the tethered individuals in a soothing, supportive voice, offering assurance and kind words of encouragement, and maybe even a gentle nudge or pull as he leads the way. Come on, Sean, you've got this. Stay focused. You can do this. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Just listen to my voice and come to me. It'll be okay. I'm here for you. You are doing great. It's just a little further. There are other various bonuses that come with being tethered as well. The link person, it helps them from succumbing to possession, to mind control, as well as getting bonuses against death. In this case, a +10% to save versus coma death when you're tethered to the psychic healer. On the other hand of this, there are penalties for that tethered individual where the person is still at war with their fear, obsessions, insanities, and they will struggle to keep those powerful emotions and urges under control. Thus they function at a reduced capacity when faced with their fear, insanity, and there are penalties attributed to that. And it's also worth noting that if the psychic should succumb to fear or madness via a magic or psionic attack, that tethered person that follows his lead is responding in kind. So, as the psychic healer, if you get attacked by a psychic or magic ability and succumb to something, the person that you're tethered to is suffering right along with you. It's an odd little twist to that, but I like the idea. There are also penalties for the tethered psychic as well. Beyond the obvious, you're only allowed to cast one psychic ability at a time, so while you're casting this, you cannot use others. But the psychic to whom the individual is tethered serves as an anchor that keeps the tethered individual under control and on the leash, so to speak. This requires focus and concentration, and as noted above, talking to keep the tethered individual under control from their own inner turmoil and outside influences. And this means the psychic is distracted and impaired, and there are various penalties that come along with that. All right, so as mentioned, there is a limited range to this ability. You can only tether to 1 or 2 people maximum. I guess in theory you can tether in each hand to 2 separate people if necessary. And they each get their own tether, and they have a reach of up to 500 feet per level of the psychic in most environments. But again, it is unlimited if they're tethered in the astral plane. In the case of trying to tether another person's emotions or obsessions or insanity, there is only a 50-foot range total altogether, which really kind of makes sense because they've got to be within earshot and being talked down from whatever it is that's affecting them. So that alone, I don't see a reason why you'd want to go further than 50 feet. The duration on that 10 minutes per level of psychic. So if you get a pretty powerful psychic healer, say like a 6th level even, that's an hour that you can explore being tethered to the psychic healer for safety, or wandering the astral plane for an hour. The extra minutes is always a good thing. And the other thing to really bring up is that there is a special or unique saving throw situation involved with this ability. In all instances, the person tethered must be a willing participant to have the lifeline attached in the first place. If the subject changes their mind after a tether has been established, it cannot be broken unless the psychic can be convinced to release them, or the duration comes to an end before the lifeline pulls them back. It does not work in the first place on those who do not want to be helped or tethered. Where I see going with that too is in the case of BTS, I would almost treat that as a GM that oh, what am I trying to say here? You know, most people don't believe in psychic abilities and such in the first place in BTS, so it's not like you can look at Joe Average on the street who needs help and say, here, let me tether you, put a psychic tether on you, that'll help you out. Because naturally, the first instinct, they're gonna think he's crazy and more likely be, say no or have a negative impact to that. So really, as a GM, where I'm thinking with this, if it's even at the psychic healer goes along the lines of, here, let me please help you, or can I help you, or something along those lines. If the other party agrees, as yeah, that'd be fine, that'd be great, or whatever, that to me should be enough for the GM to say, all right, go ahead and hook the psychic tether to him, and once he has it, then he can help. Then from there, the other party can't break the tether, even if he wants to. And so, really, long and short of this one, I see a lot of unique and clever abilities that various psychics, especially creative-minded healers, can probably come up with a lot of really creative uses of how to make this thing work and get the max out of it. And also to a point, and this is something I'll try to get back at a later time, I could almost see where certain physical psychics might even benefit from having this ability as well. And I might even look into something like if a physical psychic takes the ectoplasmic ability, is this something he can also take? If he does that first one, if he does ectoplasm first, I'll talk about this or write about it in a future source book or video. But otherwise, again, I think it's a pretty cool ability. It's something really different for psychic healers, and I look forward to seeing what players do with this. And, well, with that review is a wrap. And if you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as I'm going to continue going over all the new and revised psychic abilities from the Coalition Manhunter book in the coming weeks. And now, I bid you farewell until we meet again.